A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to all of you. I'm your virtual host, Diksha Rena, and it's my pleasure and privilege to welcome each and every one of you to this eventful afternoon at LMHI Global Colloquium 2021. To start with the next session of the day, I would like to invite our chairpersons, Dr. Lex Ratan and Dr. Raj K. Manchanda. As the moderator, I would like to invite Dr. Meeta Gupta and Dr. Anjali Miglani. And the theme for this session is Implications of Big Data Revolution. I would now quickly hand over to our moderator, Dr. Meeta Gupta. Over to you, madam.
Thank you, Diksha. Namaste, good morning, afternoon, and evening to respected chairs, speakers, and all the delegates from across the world. Today's discussion is on implications of big data revolution. As we all know that data is very important and sharing is even more important for advancement of any science. Many lessons have been learned during the COVID pandemic where old prime methods from based on anecdotal methods to technology driven initiatives, there is a great repository has been developed regarding data. What is the importance of data in our practice? What is the importance of data in the advancement of any science? What are the technologies available? And what is the significance in clinical practice? And how we can validate and maintain the reliability of the content of data. This we all learned during this session, which our speakers will be deliberating on. First presentation is from Dr. Jawahar Shah. He will be speaking on significance of clinical practice data, learning from experience. Welcome you, sir. I then now hand over to Dr. Jawahar Shah.
Can please IT team start the video? Thank you. Friends, a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and some of you at midnight. It's the love for homeopathy which brings us together to the world's biggest homeopathic colloquium ever created in the history of homeopathy. What a great way to end the year. I'm thankful to the President, Vice President, and all committee members. I'm thankful to Dr. Manchanda and his complete dedicated team for a wonderful creation. It's an experience out of world. Friends, I'm thankful that I'm going to talk on big data. Since last 40 years, 40 long years I've been working on this big data, and ours is 5 generations into homeopathy. So homeopathy runs in our blood, sweat, and every breath. So welcome. I am going to share about significance of clinical practice data and learning from experience. My purpose is to create something which is open for all the subsequent speakers. Homeopathy is the only science where the medicines are proved on healthy human beings. It gives us finer shades of sensations, human experiences, emotions, physical symptoms. Like very simple thing, no two human beings are same. Iris, fingerprint, taste buds, genetic pattern are different. And if we take 8 billion population alive today, and billions of them came and went, and billions of them will come together in future, no two individuals are same. So if the remedy has been proved on human being, it gives us finer shades of sensations like burning and stinging, emotions like irritability, anger, jealous, intellectual disturbances like confusion, inability to perform calculations, an altered state of delirium and delusions. It also goes deep down to the level of dreams. It can give you the finer shades of dreams. And these details are documented so perfectly in our materia medica and encyclopedias. This is unbelievable. And this human experiences cannot be avoided, neglected, or cannot be considered as of no consequences at all. We have to give a respect. And only if the medical fraternity across the globe respects this, gives importance to human experiences, only then we will have a balanced human race full of different experiences. Experiences which love nature, experiences which is full of positivity, and human race which is peaceful within and peaceful around them. And that is the purpose. Homeopathy is all charged up, powered up to create such a beautiful mankind. Humanity has no other option but to accept homeopathy is a mainstream medicine. If it hopes to live a long, healthy life with minimal medicines and minuscule side effect, future which is available today. The theme of this session is Big Data Revolution. Being a speaker, I would like to open out in such a way that everybody participates with full of freedom, full of energy, and with all the facility without any border or limitations. How do we handle big data? The biggest thing is Master Honeyman, who proved 99 remedies before his death. It's a similar experience. Bradman's average was 99 in terms of century. So all great people are close to 100. Now, the remedy which he proved, sulfur, had 28,000 symptoms. Just imagine one remedy. And since his death in 1843 till 2021, in 178 years, number of remedies are available. From 99, it became 4,783. And to the surprise, we have more than 6,000 remedies. As per the Aurum project, they say there are 8,661 remedies. And out of that, 6,107 remedies already have the provings. Hahnemann's Materia Medica Pura had 64 remedies with 30,806 symptoms. The chronic disease had 17 remedies with 40,037 symptoms. Kent, when he made his repertory, it had 64,230 rubrics with 624 remedies. Complete 2020 has 2,566 remedies with 211,804 rubrics. Isn't that amazing? So if we study the total data of remedies and rubrics and symptoms in 210 years, is simply mind-boggling. And that is big data. And we are going to use this big data in our practice. Just imagine the big data which we have. Big data, amazing, which is unbelievable. And even if you average, imagine there are 500 symptoms in 6,000 medicines. It will have 3 million symptoms. It is humanly impossible to remember this data. And there are manufacturers who have proved, like rabbit hair, krypton, helium, COVID-19 nosodes, and they've got 2 steps beyond. They have Pfizer vaccine and Moderna vaccine potentized. Isn't that a big source of health? Now, we cannot handle it. We need to understand 2 aspects: how to use this big data in clinical practice and how this clinical practice can improve this big data to make it more efficient, to deliver better results. Friends, this is what we want in practice. So we will take the first example. All of us go through disappointments. Nobody is free in this world who is not disappointed even once. And a lot of us go through disappointment in love. And how technology can be used to handle this huge data. We use this technology. We simply say open repertory. It will open the repertory. Now if we have to search, we say search repertory, and we say disappointment in love. Disappointment in love with the voice command, and it will search through the entire repertory and bring you all the result of love disappointment. And my friends, you'll be surprised. In few seconds, you'll have a totally different experience. See the number of remedies, see the number of rubrics which are available under disappointment. It gives us a different panorama. And the same thing, we give a command, search for love disappointment all from books. And what it will search? It will search beautifully from Materia Medica, love, disappointments, all the various permutations and combinations. And friends, a big surprise, you could never think of antimony crude. Could you think of cactus as one of the remedy for disappointment in love? Friends, we have many more surprises. We have got Helleborus, we have got Hyoscyamus as the remedies. Now, if we have a patient with severe chest pain after disappointment, we can think of cactus. Open Materia Medica cactus, and it will open out cactus as a remedy. It can open out Helleborus. Suppose if the patient has epilepsy after disappointment in love, you can think of Helleborus. Or you can have totally a different remedy in a schizophrenic case. If the patient is tearing off his clothes, violent, you can think of Hyoscyamus as a remedy after disappointment in love. Friends, please understand this. I had a beautiful case. of a patient wanted to go abroad, and he said, under any circumstances, I want to leave the country. During the investigation, it was found that the patient had huge tumor, large tumor in the mediastinal region. It was a dangerous position. No surgeon would touch it. The patient wanted to go abroad. Now we just gave a command, search abroad. And to our surprise, a beautiful remedy came up, Mercurius. We gave Mercurius to the patient, and what happened? The result, the tumor just completely disappeared in 3 months, and the patient recovered completely. He could go abroad. See friends, this is the power of this big data, and how to use this power is very, very important. It's like finding the right key. No homeopathy can be taught without cases, and I'm sharing you the cases. We had a beautiful case of Cornelia de Lange syndrome, a rare syndrome with mental retardation, completely physical and mental retardation. The child looked like a monkey with so much of hair all over body. Amazing experience, just like a baby monkey. We treated this case, and what an amazing result. The child could play Casio. Child could understand command in 3 languages. And the child was able to perform his normal activity. Now friends, this kind of shifts are possible with the right medicine. And see a beautiful case of gynecomastia, right-sided breast enlargement in male patient after the treatment, flat chest. Case of cardiac asthma who could not walk even 10 steps, just became a normal person with the remedy. An autistic child who failed in mathematics, after the treatment he scored 100 out of 100 in maths. And not only that, friends, he won an award in the district in English language. This is the power of homeopathy. A lady who was not growing in height, was very short, grew by 6.5 inches in 6 months, and the warts on the fingers completely disappeared. A case of molluscum completely disappeared with homeopathic medicines. Now the question comes to your mind, which is the remedy? Which is the remedy? The remedy which was given was medoridum. Just one single remedy, most of the cases 30 potency, minimal repetition. And this was when we reverse studied these cases, and only 5 common symptoms. Patient was hot, sleeping in niches position, hairy patient, desire for sweets, and nail biting. If you get this totality, you can close your eyes and prescribe medorinum. Friends, what we want to do using this big data, we want to create, from thousands of symptoms. We are mad. We cannot handle it. We just select few symptoms, which is a working totality for a case, few key indicated symptoms, and from this big data, we come to a smaller prescription. And what I want to do, I want all homeopaths to get a big practice. There are 500,000 homeopaths across the globe. If each one contributes one good evidence-based case, imagine 500,000 cases. Amazing database. And if we study 231 cases of pulsatilla, we get only 6 common symptoms on which the remedy can be differentiated. If we study 399 cases of lycopodium, you'll be surprised. Only 5 common symptoms can be important for prescription. Friends, we need to bring this data together. We have to get united to transform the world. The biggest dilemma of homeopaths is to how he can have a sustainable practice, to achieve a reliable income, get desired results, and have comfortable lifestyle. Friends, we have 8 billion human beings, plus plants, plus animals, plus fishes. Just imagine how many patients you have for homeopaths. And what is the biggest story? There are 250 million asthmatics not getting relief. There are 3 out of 10 marriageable aged women who are not able to conceive. 2 out of 10 people have allergy, and there is no solution. There are 350 million people suffering from anxiety, depression, and they have to take the medicine for lifetime, which will produce excessive sleepiness. Now they all need a big help from homeopaths, and we have a big solution which can create a big income for homeopaths. The solution is converting this big, huge database into an accurate, reliable, prescriptive totality, which will allow you to exactly match with the symptoms of the patient. And irrespective of the clinical conditions, it can get relieved. We have already seen this. And this little shift of a homeopath can do a wonderful wonders, and he or she can create a healthy, harmonious homeopathic world. Isn't that what all of us who are present in the colloquium want? Isn't that what every homeopath wants? And this is available today. And we have to come together. We have to get united. Come together and speak for homeopathy. And friends, what we need is just shift which will give us 360-degree solution about patient care, the human care, technology care, and education care. So if we embrace this solution, we can enhance and grow our homeopathic practice. Friends, think big, think different. Friends, our mission is to create competent, confident homeopaths globally. Our vision is to nurture homeopaths, to generate a sustainable income from their homeopathic practice. Our fellow brothers and sisters of global fraternity, let us work together, increase our homeopathic practice, generate a sustainable income, lead the lifestyle you deserve of your choice. And for that, I'm going to share 3 vital points: the Ubuntu effect, the Redwood effect, and FEMI story. If all of us follow this, global scenario of homeopathy is going to change for sure. Look at this video.
Sometimes when I hear the sounds of children playing, my mind wanders back to my time in Africa. I remember there was this once I was playing with a group of children, and I proposed a rather stupid game. I had placed a basket of strawberries under a tree, and I told the children that the first one to find it could keep them all to themselves. But what the kids did in response changed me forever. Instead of running off one by one to find the basket, they held each other's hands and ran together. And when they found the basket, they all shared the fruit. When I asked them why they did that, they told me, "Ubuntu, how can one of us be happy if all the other ones are sad?"
Which says very clearly, we are, because of homeopathy, Ubuntu effect. The second aspect is the secret of redwood forest. What do the redwood forest have? The redwood trees, they grow up to 300 feet and survive for 3,000 years. How this is possible? Their roots go only 3 feet down. But there is a big history. They are able to face the violence, the storm, the fierce winds, devastating earthquakes, tsunamis, and they're still there. Only, what is the secret? What is the secret? What is the secret in this? Because their roots are entangled with each other. Even if a baby redwood tree comes up, it bonds with each other. And friends, if we do it, unity is our strength. Unity, let us all get united and let us create a healthy world. So second is redwood effect. Let us all get united from the roots and we stand up for homeopathy with one voice, single voice, that I love homeopathy. And now I would come to the third part of it. I want to conclude my session with short story about Femi, a multi-billionaire from Nigeria. He said that I passed through 4 stages of life and I have realized what is happiness. Stage 1, I had all the wealth, not happy. I bought a ship, I was not happy. I had number of projects. I controlled 95% of diesel in Africa, not happy. At stage 4, one of my friends called me to give 200 wheelchairs to disabled children. And the friend insisted that I must come personally and hand over the wheelchair to the children. Once I donated the wheelchairs, the children's happiness was unbelievable, as if they were on a picnic. One of the child stuck to my feet, grabbed my feet tightly, and then asked, "What do you want from me? Do you want something more?" The child says, "No." The child, staring at me, said that what I want is to remember your face so that when we meet again in heaven, I should be able to recognize you and I can again thank you. Friends, this is what we want from our patients. This is what we want from our patients. All of us, when we die, we live in hearts of millions. As homeopath, we can transform, we can come together, we stand up for homeopathy, we share whatever we have with each other, and like Femi, we have a very smiling face when we go up. There will be queue of people who will be waiting there to greet us. Friends, thank you very much. Thank you for listening patiently. I want to thank again Liga and the team for making this possible.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful lecture. If I would like to know if the chairs would discuss each session separately or in the end. So please unmute yourself.
I think let the Lex join and then we'll do it.
Okay, sir. Okay. So we will invite our next speaker, who is Dr. Paresh Vasani. He will be speaking on content reliability in the rapidly expanding tools of homeopathic practice. We welcome you, Dr. Paresh Vasani.
So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my colleagues. And before that, my respected colleagues and dignitaries here. And a special thanks to Dr. Rajkumar Manchanda because he's the main instrumental person to bring me here in this place. So when we talk about content reliability, Dr. Jawahar Shah very rightly spoke about the data, which is huge data which is coming up. Even before that, if I would speak, homeopathy is a blend. Approach to homeopathy, to learning homeopathy, to our remedies, to patients. It's a combination of art and science. Developing software for a long time in my life, I felt that if we handle the data, if I know all the remedies very, very well, all the symptoms well, then we would be able to solve every case and heal every person on the earth. But as you grow in your practice, you realize it's not just the data which plays a role, but there is an art behind it. If you do not know which symptom to pick up, the collection of 1,000 symptoms makes no difference. So to identify the right symptom from the group is an art. And at the same time, we must also have all the symptoms possible. So there is a unique blend of art and science, of perceiving the symptoms and the collection of the symptoms. And now with the technological innovations like machine learning, artificial intelligence, decision intelligence, and all this, the connectivity, the internet, it has revolutionized our life. I remember when I was a student, we would repertorize with hand manually. And now all our softwares have made our life so easy. And as the technology grows, we think that I would feed, let's say, 1,000 cases of Lycopodium, 1,000 cases of Pulsatilla, and it will help me to generate with the help of algorithms. It will help me to identify the right cases. Well, we worked a lot in this direction, and many people, many organizations are working. We need huge data. When we say huge data, means we would need thousands of cases of each remedy for this. And CCRH and big organizations are working in this direction so that we get good quality data. When I say quality of data, this is going to be my main focus of discussion today. Because there are three main factors: the amount of data, the quality of data, and the algorithms that we use. So let's talk about the quality of data. This is very, very, very significant for me because all of you who are homeopaths, they know one fact very, very well, that whenever we do mechanical collection of data, it doesn't work. Because when you take A, B, C as a symptom and you take D, E, F as a symptom, the results will be completely different remedies. So the right symptom and the right quality of it is the important part of it. The decision-making process arising out of this quality would change a lot of things. And why am I focusing on this? Because when we talk about collecting cases, we talk about collecting symptoms. There is a lot of subjective interpretation of intensity of the symptoms. There is very intense subjective interpretation of what is characteristic in a case. When I see one case and another homeopath sees the case, it's so rightly said that no two homeopaths think of the same remedy in a case. So the subjective interpretation, I would say this modality is the most important characteristic, and another homeopath would say, no, 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 the sensation is the most important characteristic. So this is very subjective. When you still go deeper, there are lack of standardization to decide the result criteria. Oh, patient's headache is better, but patient is down with something deeper problem. What do you consider a constitutional prescription or just a disappearance of a symptom? How long should be the duration? So there would be a colleague, he would say a case is cured if you have 5 years follow-up. There would be a colleague who would say, oh, it's okay, it is followed by second remedy in a month, like what we speak about onion layer theory. So when you set all these criteria, the results completely change. Now, approach to each case is different. We know homeopathy has many, many schools. Like we have some, even if I talk about in India, like we have Kolkata school, where there's a lot of emphasis on keynotes, on therapeutics, on specifics. Or you come to Mumbai and you see there are so many teachers who practice a lot of kingdom method, the sensation method. We have materia medica, we have repertory. Each homeopath and each school of homeopathy is different. Well, I'm not talking about right and wrong. We all are different and homeopathy is different. All our patients are different and they need a different approach. So these are the inherent issues with our homeopathic data. I'm sure when we collect data, we would keep all this in mind. Now, let's talk about a step deeper. How reliable is the data that we collect? It's very important that we put very good quality checks on the data. Well, I'm talking from my very personal experience because for last 10 years, we are working on a repertory, what we call as a reliable repertory. And the experience that we got in developing the repertory, we started Kent as a base repertory and we started adding different repertories from pioneers. We did this work. And then we realized that it's not that easy. If I have to add a rubric, how good is that rubric? If I'm adding a remedy from a proving, my simple question would come is how good is the quality of proving? if I'm adding from a clinical case, suppose a case which is published in a journal, and should I put this as a remedy into the rubric as a clinical addition by that author? How good was the case? How long was the follow-up? Do I know the author? Do I know the method that he practices? And if you see, this is an inherent problem in the big repertories now we all have, where, as Dr. Jawar rightly said, that initially there were X number of rubrics in remedy sulfur, and now you have huge, maybe 5 times more, maybe 10 times more rubrics. So as the repertories are expanding, there is dilution of quality. So what is the solution? So do we stop adding rubrics? Do we stop adding remedies? No, because I would need remedies. As Dr. Jawar rightly said, that there are a number of remedies, the new provings are so huge. They're increasing so many. So we need an authentication process. I can't take chance with a rubric because on which I'm going to completely depend to prescribe for my patient. So quality of rubric and the remedies which are added cannot be compromised. So we must have some tools which authenticate this process. So these are the dilemmas that we spoke about. As the number of remedies have grown, the new provings which are there, the clinical additions, and one very important dilemma that we faced was judging the quality of the prescription of the case. So the process, what we did, which I'm going to demonstrate now, is the accuracy of the addition is what we would check again and again, that how good are those additions. The second tool we used was confirmation from different sources. So suppose a remedy is added into a rubric, then a good addition is usually confirmed by many authors. Third, if we have a doubt, what we have done is we provide the exact source, the exact sentence, the exact context of the addition, and giving the freedom to the physician to make sure that this addition is reliable. Let me demonstrate this whole thing. So this is our Synergy homeopathic software, and this is the repertory, which we call it as a reliable repertory. So when you see, what we did is that we have a rubric and we have all the remedies. If you look closely, now some of the remedies have asterisks on top of it, and some places you do not have. Now the place where I have asterisks, if I do a right click, and if I see, it tells me view reference string. When I click on it, what it gives me is the exact sentence from the Materia Medica, from the proving, which meant abrupt, where this remedy is added. So you can see the exact, so this makes your addition of this remedy into this rubric as very reliable, because I can see what was the context in which it was meant in our Materia Medica. And this you can study for different remedies. So why was aurum met added into abrupt? So this author, in his book, he exactly describes the symptom. So this matching of the proving experience of the Materia Medica experience with the rubric and with that of my patient makes it very reliable. Now you can imagine the number of rubrics that we have in our Materia Medica, in our repertories. And each rubric having huge number of remedies. So I don't say that we have this kind of reference string for every remedy, but our aim is that if the whole community gets involved, if you get involved, if I get involved, if all our colleagues work together and give the kind of references to all the remedies. I'm not saying only the author. Everybody mentions the author, but along with the author, the exact text, exact sentence of Materia Medica, which tells you, yes, this makes the editions authentic. There is a trend in homeopaths, in the teachers, that rather than using big repertories, they go back to the original source repertories, maybe very close to Kent or something. But if we give a reliable work like this, authenticated work, then the data which is there, you can rely on it. Then the prescription that you will make would be trustworthy and you would be sure that this will bring the right result. And that is what we need in our life. Okay, so let's go further. So this is exactly when we say providing the exact source. So this is just not one tool. There can be some many other tools as well. That is, so if I just talk about those other tools, so if I'm here and if I want, I can simply directly from here go into my Materia Medica and read the exact description. So some places where the reference string is not available, there is an easy tool to go into Materia Medica. And as usual, so the remedy is not just by one author. You will see so many authors talking about the same remedy. Huge, thousands of books are available and you can read that. So that's the another way of confirming the exact symptom of a rubric. So you can confirm not only with repertory, but also in many repertories, not only with Materia Medica, but repertories as well. So this also we can, this Dr. Jawar also spoke, but a simple, let me say, suppose if I'm looking for a rubric fear, where patient is extremely scared of dark. So I want this kind of search. Now, this rubric, fear of dark, I would say, okay, what is specific in it? But when I search, you see, it helps me. It searches through the whole data, thousands of pages. So all the repertories, not just one, but all the repertories. So I can search in Nez repertory, I can search in Kent's repertory, I can search in Jar's repertory. Everywhere this word fear and dark is there. Not only in the repertories, but also in the library of books, thousands of books, all the books. And then using these tools, I can search huge data. So this searching algorithms is one big thing because we have a huge data. So we need to have algorithms. We need to have tools which help me to search in this data. Search in multiple repertories, search in multiple books. So there are so many data which is tools which we have available. So I can search in repertories, I can search in by author, I can search by different kingdoms, I can search by different remedy, different section. All this can be done. Now the big part, the same authentication or confirmation we do with respect to the cases and the case analysis. Because when we use the data for our cases, we must have a mechanism by which it gets confirmed that yes, what you are thinking is right. Because the way a student would approach the way a practitioners would approach or a teacher would approach a case would be different. Somebody would use a repertory, somebody will use materia medica, somebody will use therapeutics, or the kingdom approach, the latest development kingdom approach, sensation method. So how do we authenticate these different systems? So the core principles, three cardinal principles that we believe for that is to have flexibility to use different approaches. There may be a case which needs a very specific remedy, a therapeutic application. There may be a case which would need a materia medica approach or a repertory approach, or a case we would say would need a sensation or a kingdom approach. And the most beautiful part of it is when all the different approaches, they come together and support. So there would be an ideal case which I look from a repertory, which I look from materia medica, and look from the kingdom would come from different approaches. So when I would use it through different approaches, it would bring me to the same result. So let me demonstrate that to you so that how we would do it. So a simple thing, let's say I have this result in materia medica. This is a materia medica search result. If I want to use this in my analysis, I would simply click here. And if you see, it gets added into the clipboard. So I'm sorry. So I have this fear of dark, a materia medica search, and these are the remedies that I'm looking at. To this, if I want, I can add from my repertory some rubrics. Let's say I want to add abrupt. I want to add this. I want to add absent-minded. So I have, now you see, I have combination of materia medica approach. I have combination of repertory along with it. And if I also want to do the sensation, the kingdom approach. So I would go into my kingdom approach, which is here. And I would say that my patient, the main sensation here was stiff, tight, and caught feeling. This is those who are familiar with sensations would know that we write down the sensation words. And I would say this, and I would say export these words into my clipboard. When I click here, you see the numbers have changed. And what it does the synergy of approach. So my materia medica approach is here. You see my rubrics here, and you see my sensation here. I can open multiple clipboards and I can use them individually. I can combine them together. I use as many flexibility as possible and just directly go to the source and see which is the right remedy. It's not only this, you can do the flexibility in a very different approaches. So I would look for the families, I would look for the minerals, the plants, so different kind of classification by different teachers. So whether you talk about Jan Schulten's method, you talk about Massimo's plants, you talk about Rajan Shankaran, you talk about Yakir, different kind of analysis system for kingdoms, for miasms, all that you can see. Whether you want to talk about animals, whether you talk about plants, you talk about minerals with different methods. So coming back, what we believe is flexibility, synergy, and by doing this, we authenticate one system of approach with another system. So from a repertory approach, if I'm thinking of pulsatilla as a remedy, my materia medica rubrics would also help me to think of pulsatilla. And my kingdom approach would tell me that it's a ranunculaceae family and it is still pulsatilla. And this kind of combination helps us to authenticate ourselves. So just to summarize, there are different approaches. Our data is huge already. As Dr. Jawahar said, that right from time of Hahnemann till today, our data is probably 10, 20 times more. The number of books which were probably 20, 30, 50 at the time, we had thousands, different authors. We have probably 60, 70, 80 repertories with us. So many materia medicas, and it's growing. Probably so many new provings keep getting added. I'll show you one very simple example. How many insect remedies do we know in our materia medica? 1, 2, 3, 5. But I will, or bird remedies. We talk about eagle or falcon. But you see, how many bird remedies do we have? This is the list in Vital Quest. Just see, and you can click on it and you can read about it. Do you see? We would talk about how many birds do we know? Maybe eagle, maybe falcon, maybe hawk. But it's so many. So this is just one example. How many insects? So like this, the number of remedies are growing, hugely growing. And then we should have tools which help us to utilize this data, ever growing data, but in a very reliable way. I do not, at any cost, I do not want to dilute the quality. So this is what is a blend of art and science, where there is a quality and then the science and the technology which helps me to use the huge data together. This is what I would like to emphasize. Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you for listening to me. If you have any questions or comments, I'm available here to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before we move ahead, Dr. Lex Litton has joined. So if we can take the questions right now, sir, or we have to take it at the end, as the chairperson say?
We have little time, I think, for questions.
Yes, sir.
Are there any questions? Well, then maybe we can concentrate on the discussion after all sessions have been there, and we can move on to the next session.
Yes, sir. I invite Dr. Theodoros Lilas. He will be talking on Mithulka's Compass homeopathic software and using big data to support homeopathic successful prescriptions. Sir, you are welcome. So you can start your presentation.
Thank you for inviting us in this interesting and important session regarding big data implications. I'm going to present work that we have done together with our colleagues, Dr. Lefteris Tapakis, Anastasia Garoufali, and Artemis Maglara, and present the Mithulka's Compass homeopathy software that utilizes big data and supports homeopathic practice. So, in general, big data analytics can be applied in healthcare and analyze many risk factors and identify them, that these risk factors can lead to diseases, and also provide more precise and personalized treatment. So this is also what homeopathy has been applying, personalized treatment. And in this sense, the cloud-based platform, Mithulka's Compass, has been working on case collection and analyzing from the beginning of this project almost 10 years ago. So we have used archives from the International Academy of Classical Homeopathy. We have selected special model cases that describe the picture of each remedy, and also cases that you have to differentiate between different remedies. So the results of the algorithms have been evaluated by Professor Vithulkas and also experienced homeopath on real cases. So in order for this project to become a reality, the company that developed Vithulkas Compass has incorporated a strong team of professionals that worked together. So it was experienced homeopaths, mathematicians, computer scientists, and all these have joined their forces in order to improve and provide tools for the homeopaths. So we have analyzed and modeled for a software platform the homeopathic consultation. All the major actors in this procedure have been taken into account. So the interaction between the homeopathic doctor and the patient, how to analyze the cases, how to search in the huge sources for homeopathic materia medica and the repertory, and how to utilize computer science tools and mathematical models to support the whole procedure. So it's a tool, a set of toolboxes that help both in the repertorization and the decision that the homeopath takes in order to select the appropriate remedy. So from the beginning, as mentioned also by the previous speaker, we have worked a lot on the search on the suitable rubrics in the repertory, how to provide the information that is relevant to the case. We have formed a word cloud that provides easy indexing of the words that are in the repertory and the synonyms and all the information that is required in order to find the appropriate rubric in the repertory. Then, of course, we have put a lot of effort in order to provide expert support system that helps the homeopath analyze the case and differentiate between the different remedies. We have also worked in from the perspective of the pathologies and special tools for acute cases. So this describes this schematic, how the algorithms were developed in order to have an inference engine that is based on actually cured cases. So we have a set of reference cases that are based on International Academy of Classical Homeopathy, and these cases have been expanded with after quite a lot of evaluation of real cases. So working on these cases, the expert system engine has been provided with main homeopathic rules of classical homeopathy. And after modeling these rules, we try to derive the suitable remedy. So in this procedure, the algorithm is always improved, and the cases that are not worked in the appropriate way are analyzed by the homeopaths and in this way, new, more subtle rules that the homeopath uses in his practice are revealed. And in this way, these are included in the software system, but the process is not a simple process to include these rules. We have to validate them, and we make hypotheses, and we quality check all the new additions in these rules so that they are verified in real cured cases. So in order to develop these supporting tools, our target is to have a high quality and robust and useful toolbox that saves considerable time on the work of the homeopath in order to search and get advice from several books. Even he can get advice from fellow homeopaths and he can share his case and discuss the case if it is quite difficult with together with experienced homeopaths. So the methodology we follow is based on a goal-driven that utilizes feedback, and it's similar to a known management cycle that you plan, you perform the actions, then you check the outcomes, and then you make many corrective actions. Of course, we have used statistical analysis in order to improve and develop new tools that are suitable, that help the homeopaths in their everyday practice. So in this main screen of the software, you have all the ingredients in order to analyze a case. Of course, you have the repertorization, the suggested remedies, and information on each remedy, how this remedy was selected. What is really important in order to provide and proceed to statistical analysis is the follow-up questionnaire. So after the prescription and the patient gives his feedback, and then the doctor records the feedback in the software. So this feedback can be quite simple depending on the improvement, if there was initial aggravation or if the prescribed remedy had no effect and didn't work as expected. And also, if the homeopath wants, he can also change the degree for each specific symptom that the patient has. So can also follow up the how each symptom changed over time. Additionally, we have provided a more detailed questionnaire for research purposes, and this procedure is open for researchers that would like to work on homeopathic projects and see the results of their treatment and analyze all these results in more detail. So now I'm going to share some interesting information that we have from cases from different countries regarding the gender, geographical distribution, how we repertorize the rubrics we mainly select, the prescribed remedies, and how the follow-up evaluates the prescribed remedies. So analyzing the cases that we have. So if we start from the cases that we have in our database, we have consultations, around 900,000 consultations that form about half a million different cases. For this, we have prescriptions, around 500,000 prescriptions, but the cases are half. What is not so good in our database is the follow-up for all these prescriptions. So only less than a third of the prescribed remedies, we have an evaluation of the treatment and a follow-up. But it is quite interesting that through all these conference and then procedures of the research institutes like CCRH and all the work in ECH and LMHI, I think that our users have understood the importance of providing a follow-up, and this percentage has increased in the last years. So our homeopaths are willing to go over the procedure of follow-up and record the effects of the prescribed remedy. Our main users are from Europe, but we have also an important share that is increasing from India and also from America and Russian-speaking countries. So here we can see that the most commonly prescribed remedies as a percentage of prescription episodes. So calcarea, phosphorus, pulsatil, and sulfur and natrium muriaticum are the mainly prescribed remedies. We have seen that this slightly changes, but very little throughout the years. It's really interesting to see that also that commonly prescribed remedies are not around the world almost the same. So there are quite significant variations in between Europe and Asia, and again with North America or South America. So in different regions of the world, where the different remedies are prescribed. So the age distribution of patients can be seen in this chart. Here we can see that young children come and get homeopathic consultations. Then we have an increase in females that come to visit a homeopath doctor, and males do not so commonly visit homeopaths. Here we can see that the age distribution of patients also is different depending on the pathology. Here we have some pathologies that are really important. And we see how this differentiates the age group that requires treatment from a homeopath. So we have in this graph anxiety disorder, depression, skin disorders of eczema, and asthma. So all these graphs are quite interesting for researchers, and in order to verify some of the hypotheses that we have, or to verify what we think from our experience. So in this case, we can see different remedies that are used for different pathologies, and we can see different images of remedies and how they are applied. So, of course, researcher can drill down and see the related rubrics and the differentiation between the different remedies that were used for the same pathology. In this chart, we can see the difference of the remedies that are prescribed in depression cases. So, of course, we have common remedies, but we can see that remedies that are suitable for depression are quite different from the ones that are usually prescribed. So we have worked in international cooperative projects that we consider really useful in order to progress the results that we can utilize in homeopathic everyday practice. So we have worked for in order to with HPUS regarding to arsenicum provings and to relate clinical practice with provings, with CCRH for case collection and analysis. There have been initiatives for high quality case collection together with Robert Verhasselen. And we are open, we are willing to facilitate researchers that would like to work on projects and share information from our database. So issues that have been discussed also previously regarding repertory utilization. In this chart, we see that some rubrics are quite extensively used, and some rubrics have been used very lately. So here we can see that although we have used a concise repertory that is based on Kent's repertory, we almost a third of the repertory has not been used at all, and a large number of rubrics, about a third of the repertory, have been used very rarely. On the other hand, we see that very few rubrics, about 2,000 rubrics, represent about 70% of the rubric entries that we have in our database. So in this case, we see that we have to focus on making the most commonly used rubrics really reliable, and also the rare rubrics provide evidence that they have been used and utilized in successful prescriptions. So we have included these tools in the software, providing evidence about the utilization of the rubrics in the repertory. And as mentioned also by the previous speaker, it is really important to advance the search of the homeopath. So when he searches for several words, we provide also a word cloud that provides related words in the repertory that can help him address better the problem that he faces. And we also have a new tool that relates the results and the resulting rubrics with suitable remedies, so that homeopath can have a picture and also work between the rubrics and the remedies that he has in mind. So based on the feedback that we get from the homeopaths, we develop the appropriate tools in order to navigate through the available information instead of having to search and spend a lot of time either searching inside electronic books or regular books. So analyzing the cases, we have worked also with statistical analysis, and we have followed the principles of the scientific framework of homeopathy in order to clinically verify the homeopathic symptoms and develop likelihood ratios. So we have tried these tools based on the work that has been pioneered by Dr. Lex Ratten. We have worked to identify likelihood ratios after filtering the cases that we have in our database. So filtering the case was really important in order to derive these likelihood ratios, which compare each remedy with the rest and relate it to a symptom that is either present or not present in a case. So this likelihood ratio has been used extensively in diagnostic tests, and we have worked out to see if we can derive these factors also in the relation between remedies and symptoms. We have seen that the likelihood ratios that we derived are in relation with experience of homeopath. So we can see here that arsenicum album relates very well with mind fastidious and people that have thirst and sip often in small quantities. Similarly, the keynotes of causticum have been verified with high numbers of likelihood ratio. It's really more interesting as the database grows to work and identify likelihood ratios with a combination of symptoms. And here you can see that two symptoms relate to mind anxiety about health, and fear of high places relates very well with argentum nitricum. And the previous two symptoms that we have described for uncertain album provide us, if they are present in a case, will provide us with a high degree of confidence to prescribe the arsenicum album as the suitable remedy. But these combinations are much rarely found in our database, and it's really important that we have even more cases to work out combinations of symptoms to derive the appropriate remedy. Further on, we have tried and experimented quite extensively on a small repertory that is based only on likelihood ratios. So for the likelihood ratio calculations, we have filtered out a lot of the cases. So we have used around 30,000 cases. And we have about 10,000 remedy symptom combinations and less than 200 remedies and around 2,000 different symptoms. And although we have this very small repertory, it was possible to provide and derive the appropriate remedy and have quite good results. So trying this small repertory, the position of the prescribed remedy in the suggested remedies was in a quite good position, and this information is actually really important for us to continue to work in the computations of likelihood ratios and improve also the accuracy of all the algorithms that we use and also the accuracy in the repertory. So if we see a deviation in the grading in the repertory between the likelihood ratios and the grading that we have in the repertory, the homeopathic team works out on the sources of the specific symptom in order to verify if different sources have also similar information to the ones that we have derived from statistical analysis. So again, there is a long procedure that has to be followed in order to adjust the grades of the repertory. And I think it's a work that should be applied in the future and will improve the accuracy of the repertory. In this chart, we compare each remedy that we have suggested from the algorithm with the rest of the remedies. So we have a matrix with about 100 remedies with 100 remedies, and the suggested remedies compared with the prescribed remedies. And is a tool that is used in AI, artificial intelligence, to evaluate different algorithms. It's called a matching matrix or confusion matrix. And if the result was ideal, we would have seen all the points in the diagonal. But we have a lot, in most cases, the results are in the diagonal. And we can also see some patterns that some remedies are more frequently prescribed. There are some biases for these prescriptions, and although different remedies should have been prescribed, they prescribe the most commonly used remedy. So in this tool, we compare each remedy with the rest of the remedies, and provides quite valuable information. I would like to conclude that although we have done quite a significant effort, this online cloud-based system should be extended even further and collects the experience of homeopaths, and through statistical validation and refinement of the repertory, we provide really important tools for the homeopaths. So Vithulka's Compass is a toolbox, and it's open to collaborative research projects. And I think future work is really important to advance homeopathic practice in the future. So thank you a lot for your attention.
Thank you, Theodoros. You really have big data and an impressive amount of analysis yet. So there's not enough time for discussion at the moment, but at 9 o'clock we will have, we want to have more of your input to have a discussion about several things. So I propose that we go on to the next session, and we will discuss at the end more about how to prepare for the 9 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Dr. Frederick Schweins. He will be talking upon the Expanding the Repertory, a Balancing Act.
Hello, everybody. First of all, do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And do you see my screen?
Sir, it has just started to share.
So today, first of all, I welcome all the friends that are listening from India, China, etc. If you are from Europe, you are courageous like me. If you are from the Americas, even more courageous, I would say. Now, the topic today is about expanding the repertory. And as you know, the repertory is an index. And so we have to synthesize and to be the index of whatever is available in the homeopathic community. And that is the provings. These are the cures. And also because of prescription strategies, we will have more and more remedies available. And what I can tell you is that expansion is inevitable. So we return to the old idea of Shakespeare, where the main question is, do we have to add or not to add? And of course, we can add and add and add without reflecting. But I would like to reflect a moment about the sheer point of adding. Some people will say, well, if you are adding, you will end up, or you already have every remedy and every rubric. No, this is mathematically not correct. Because, for example, in Synthesis 2009, we had an average of 7 remedies per symptom. So this is not the problem. I will lead you along a few ideas and choices that must be made, according to me, when making additions to the repertory. And the first one is about provings. Some people say we should make additions of the old provings. Some other people say, no, let's take the recent provings. What are the advantages? Well, the old provings, they need to be completed. Yes, of course. We need to have all of them. We need to have all the critical information of them. They need to be corrected because no human work is without error. So we must make corrections to the existing information, be it materia medica or repertory. But there is also an advantage of working on the recent provings, because recent provings, because of the choice of the substances, may reflect more the recent needs. And also in the recent provings, the people will have phrased the symptoms according to recent language. So the idea is that we take the best of both worlds. However, there is a little caveat here, and that is what we call the over-repertorization of provings. This means that too many symptoms enter the repertory based on one proving. One, I would say, very drastic approach to try and, how shall I say, make it a point of communication is to request from those who repertorize provings is to link it to the source information, to the materia medica, to the sentence in the proving. This makes the whole process transparent. And this means that anybody in the repertory or even in the materia medica can see the link between these two and decide, is this a valuable link or not? And then inform us when there is a concern. Now, for the old provings, what is the problem of over-repertorization is that for the same substance, many times we have more than one proving. And people tend to almost repertorize every word. They find a sentence, every sentence, maybe every word needs to be repertorized. So these older remedies, they tend to be overrepresented, even if based on the provings. For the recent provings, we have possibility of dialogue with the proving coordinator. And we know that every proving coordinator is very proud of the work they have been doing. And this leads, again, I apologize, to over-repertorization, means too many symptoms, too high degrees. And the guideline we give to the proving coordinator is to reflect about the essence of the proving, to really read again and again. Kent would have meditated about making additions. And if we can translate it into a quantity message, is to present a new remedy like a small or remedy which has 400, maximum 800 symptoms. And then to have most of those symptoms only in degree 1 and 10 to 20% on degree 2. We prefer to not accept third degree on the basis of one proving project. The third degree only comes in when there is frequent clinical confirmation. Now, a second point is that provings is, of course, key cornerstone information, but that in the repertory, you will also find toxicological information or traditional information. And the two examples I am giving here of cuprum and arnica are from the materia medica of Hahnemann. So Hahnemann himself already introduced toxicological symptoms of cuprum, mainly the cramps. And these toxicological symptoms, they are rather vague, like cramps, diarrhea, etc. But they help us to understand the emphasis. And when we join them with the homeopathic, more refined symptoms, like the cramps starting in the toes and the fingers, we have a nice picture and a more clear picture of cuprum. So I think it's okay to add toxicological information also in the repertory. And just the same, if the traditional information is in line with the arnica, then it's nice to have it in the repertory. With the substance information, we are more cautious. Substance information means that we know biological, chemical, and other characteristics of the substance, and we would consider them to be characteristics of the remedy. Why are we more careful and very hesitant, in fact, to add it? It's because sometimes the substance information is opposite to the homeopathic information. A well-known example described by Clark and others is that pulsatilla, the flower, is found on sunny sandy pastures, and that everybody knows that pulsatilla is aggravated from the sun. Now, other therapies, we have added, for example, information about Bach flowers. And here again, we have tried to be careful and precise. And walnut is, as a remedy, homeopathic remedy, you find it in as Juglans regia. But if walnut is there because of Bach flower symptoms, it will be in the abbreviation walnut. So these are separated and make it more precise and possible to choose either the homeopathic or the Bach flower characteristics. The The other idea about what to add to the repertory is clinical information or not. And this opposition is in fact an old opposition. You all know Allen's encyclopedia, which was mostly provings. You know Hering's guiding symptoms, which was mostly clinical cures from all the journals. Two giant works. And even in today's repertory projects, more recent, we have clinical repertory of Clark, just clinical experience. In Germany, we have some projects who focus on primary sources, provings only in the original language, etc. So the both are there. And again, we would like to suggest that we use both, best of both worlds, clinical and provings information into the repertory. And if you look again at the degree systems of Kent and Bönninghausen, you will see that both of them, they indicate as well clinical confirmation as proving information to define the degree. However, there is a big problem, a big possibility that clinical information is not what you expect. And what are the criteria to add the symptom? I apologize, I will not give a reply today because this is almost like an endless discussion. Different people have different opinions. And in our project, what we have done, one of the ways to approach this is to request a precise referencing. If there is additions of Toxicophis pugnax, which is a proving by Farouk Master, it is labeled by MTF2. But if it's a clinical confirmation, the same author's abbreviation ends with a 0, MTF0, digit is 0, etc., etc. So you will find many authors with a 0 in the end, and you will know this addition is there because of clinical information. And possibly you can contact the author of that information if you doubt. The ideal, of course, will be to link the additions to the case, and I will come back to that a little later. Another reflection we must make is about pathological rubrics. So pathological rubrics, they're just remedies for a pathology. You see some examples. What is the homeopathic value of pathological rubrics? Well, it's a little bit a question, because aren't we looking for the strongest striking symptoms when we interrogate the patient? Aren't we considering the mental picture when we try to prescribe? And so throughout the homeopathic literature, you will find many statements, including one here by Case, where people say, don't rely too much on the pathological rubric. In our project, we have always been wary of adding even more pathological rubrics, recognizing the fact that they were there already in Kent's repertory. But recently, with our more recent version, Adonis, we have added a lot of pathological rubrics as an inspiration, because the idea is if you have some pathology, you have an indication of the remedies that can possibly serve because of symptom similarity. And then you still will need to do your homeopathic work, which is considering the different remedies and getting a feel of what are the homeopathically interesting symptoms in a case of multiple sclerosis, just by reading the materia medica of the different remedies that apply. Another idea is, when shall we add a new rubric? And you may know, you may remember that Kent's repertory in fact started with what we call a referring rubric, abandoned. Abandoned refers, with the referral C forsaken, to the regular rubric, which means that remedies are not added to abandoned, but they will be added to forsaken, which means that forsaken and abandoned in repertory language are considered synonyms. In our current version, we have added all the synonyms in gray. You see here in gray, rough and brusque to abrupt, just another example, to make it even more transparent which words, which symptoms are considered synonymous in the repertory language of synthesis. Now, I will give two examples to say how this is interesting. First of all, we are focusing on standardizing the language. instead of using the word talking, I'm sorry. We use the word talking instead of speaking, lecturing, saying, telling, and many more. So you will always find talking, talking, talking. This means you will have less symptoms. And because of having less symptoms, also less remedies, but you will have more pertinent rubrics, who will concentrate the remedies that are speaking, talking, etc., aggravate, for example. So in this philosophy, you understand it is important to know whether we will change a referring rubric into a regular rubric or not. And the first example is emotion subdued. Someone is saying, I would like to undo the referral to suppressed and make a separate rubric. Subdued is different from suppressed. Our approach is to go and look in Merriam-Webster dictionary, where you will see that subdue is subdue my foolish fears, control by exertion of will. So it's too close to suppress, and we decide to retain the referral. Another example, vulnerable, refers to the illusion receiving injury, which is on a physical level, or to mental security, and to sensitiveness, which is on the senses. So it seems that vulnerable is a perfect referring rubric, and you should look to either of the three more specific rubrics already existing. In this case, we have reflected and decided that the word vulnerable is too common use in today's language, and we have undone the referral and created a new rubric where we have put remedies that people say vulnerable, and we have a rubric vulnerability. Okay, so it goes in two ways. We streamline, and we make more rubrics, or we make less rubrics, but we standardize the language according to the meaning and the dictionary to avoid duplication of rubrics and remedies. Another important issue is about families. You know, typically repertories offer remedies. This is what it is. On the other hand, in the community, there is this whole idea of considering a family. Also, repertories like from Jeremy Sher, Luke Norland, they have been entering families into the rubrics. What is the position we have taken now with the new version of synthesis Adonis? Is that we have started entering families as remedies into the rubric, into the one and same rubric where remedies are. So, for example, a rubric, Mind Forsaken, will now contain families in addition to remedies. There is no separate rubric, it's the same rubric. The advantage is that you need to look at only one rubric. Will it not be confusing? No, we don't think so, because all families have been abbreviated with an asterisk at the end. So let me show you a rubric here, the desire to kill, which you know was advocated as the main characteristic of all animal remedies. You see the animals here with an asterisk in the end, okay? You see some other families here, like Insecta, just mentioned by Theodorus. And if you want to look at the bigger rubric, jealousy here as well. You see Ophidia, which is in line with the Lachesis. You see Logamiacea, etc. And you see the well-known remedies just at the same time. So it shows you, in fact, that the use of a family or thinking of a family in the case of a jealous patient is a possibility. And if you repertorize this, you will see appearing families with an asterisk in the repertorization, but of course you will still see the same remedies that you would expect if you repertorize these two symptoms, such as Hyoscyamus, Lachesis, etc. Another issue is the copying of remedies to the superrubrics. Kent did it in this way. He was very precise and desired to add a remedy to the most specific rubric, such as you can see here. And a remedy was only added to a superrubric, like head pain in this case, if there were 3 subrubrics explaining the same thing. Allegedly, different approach was taken by Bönninghausen, who generalized the symptoms, but not so much. He created the genus symptoms, which is shown here by the diminishing number of pages in his subsequent repertories. In Synthesis 2009, we decided to copy remedies to the next relevant subrubric one time and stop. Okay, here is the quote from Bönninghausen for those who believe Bönninghausen has been generalizing remedies all over. And then we come to the idea what we do with a bigger remedy. This is the definition of the bigger remedy, and the medium remedy is the best one, according to me. Our job should be to promote inconspicuous small and very small remedies into the medium one. Our job should not be to make the medium or the big remedy even bigger or gigantic. We already have these very big remedies. And so sulfur, as you know, is the main example. In the blue bars, you see what has been happening to sulfur in subsequent versions of synthesis, 12,000, 16,000, 17,000, 18,000. So since 2005, not so many more symptoms have been added because we have taken a very cautious approach to expanding the repertory. And I believe if you are not cautious and reflective on all the aspects that I have been giving you, it becomes very easy to duplicate the number of symptoms of a polycrest, 16,000 to 30,000 in the course of 25 years. And I think this is not the goal of the repertory, to have such gigantic remedies. It's not so useful. What is more useful is to promote these smaller remedies so they become visible and usable. And this is exactly what we have been doing with the Synthesis Adonis project, where we now go from 2,300 to 3,200 remedies. Okay. At last, I would like to remind you that the repertory, of course, sits in between the materia medica and the patient file. So if we're speaking about the repertory, we have a very solid, how shall I say, link between repertory and materia medica already. There is also an important link between the WinChip, the patient file, our patient file, and the repertory. For example, here, you can just tick on the symptoms and they are put in the patient file as a repertory symptom. So we bring the precision of the repertory into the patient file and prepare for the patient file to make additions into the symptom, into the repertory. The same is done by Cliffycall, which is basically a patient file in the cloud. We have the COVID-19 projects, acute and long COVID, COVID-19, 1,200 cases almost. And the contributions to this project, the clinical contributions to this project from some many authors have led to precise remedy descriptions, which you can see here. For phosphorus, these are the commonly met symptoms in the cases of acute COVID. And so the clinical cases, the cases in the cloud, they contribute and create a rubric. Here is another and last example of the rubric COVID-19, very new, of course, with contributions from 28 authors. So this is just my summary of a few ideas, what we are looking for, considering, reflecting about when we expand the repertory, and with some examples of real life screens. So I hope you find this interesting, and you're very welcome to contact us with any queries at the known email address. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frederick. We have to go to another session at 9 o'clock, and we have one other presentation to go. So I suggest that we go on with the last presentation, then we might make some general remarks about how to prepare for 9 o'clock, if that's okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Now I invite Dr. Suhana Aziz. She will be talking about homeopathic clinical case repository by CCRH.
Right. Dr. Anjali, am I audible?
Yes.
I'm audible fine, right? Thank you.
Yeah, please, you're audible.
Right, I'm sharing my screen. Right. So I'm really privileged to follow Dr. Frederick Schoens, who is actually an avant-garde in data revolution in homeopathy. So it's a privilege here. Thank you. So I am going to talk about an initiative by the Central Council for Research in Homeopathy under the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. So the CCRH has developed a homeopathic clinical case repository, which is actually aimed at enhancing the clinical evidence in homeopathy. All my previous speakers have spoken about the big data and the importance of digital tools by which we have to appropriately manage the data. So here at CCRH, we have established this platform for better research outcomes and clinical efficiency. So I won't be going into any analytics part of because this is a new initiative, we have just launched it. So I am more into talking about our journey in developing this particular repository and the importance of documenting individual case reports in a very systematic manner so that it adds to the clinical evidence in homeopathy. So just a brief introduction about the health status in India. So in India, health is a shared responsibility, and the government itself promotes medical pluralism, which is very well was a stepping stone mentioned in the National Health Policy brought out by the Government of India in 2017. So here in India, the modern system of medicine as well as the complementary and traditional systems of medicine coexist in a harmonious manner. And in most of the government institutions, they are co-located also. And the patient is free to select whatever whatever system of treatment that he or she wants to select. So that is the openness of the Indian health scenario. In that context, I would also like to say that India is also a medical paradox in the term of urban and rural healthcare that is provided to the people. Because in urban areas, you get world-class care, and in rural or in the village areas, the facilities are very less, and especially the primary healthcare outreach is not all that good as you get in the urban areas. So that is a paradox that we have also. So coming to the National Health Policy 2017, actually, they have mentioned the systems of Ayush. For my foreign colleagues, I'm just saying Ayush is the officially recognized complementary therapy systems practiced in India. And in India, we have a separate ministry under the Government of India, the Ministry of Ayush, which takes care and cater to the promotion of Ayush systems in India. So the National Health Policy 2017 actually highlights key principles of citizen centricity of the quality of care, better access to healthcare, universal health coverage, and inclusiveness. And in India, we are in the process of establishing a common federated architecture, which includes leveraging digital health solution for Ayush. So in the 2018 Niti Aayog report, they have brought out a document which is called the National Health Stack. And in this document, the key components were the National Health Electronic Registries, establishing the National Health Electronic Registries, National Health Analytics platforms, and various other horizontal and lateral components to it. And then later on in 2019, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare brought out a National Digital Health Mission Framework, whereby the government is aiming at creating a national digital health ecosystem. So in this context, it is very important that we as homeopaths and the homeopathic system of treatment should not miss the bus in this digital mission. And we should establish ourselves as a prominent vertical in this national digital health mission. And for that, managing our big data is very, very important. And in India, we have a whopping, more than 2.8 lakhs of registered homeopathic practitioners who are registered with various state and central registries. So that is a huge the pool of healthcare providers we have in India, and the level of healthcare the healthcare needs that we can provide to the public is immense. So it is very important that we actually cater to it in the highest quality possible. So homeopathy is like, in India, it is like every area or region has got a friendly neighborhood doctor who actually caters to the health needs of the close social circle. So that's the case in India, and so it is very imperative that we take that responsibility or shoulder that responsibility in the most professional manner. So in that, with that, I am starting my presentation. So the relevance of single case reports in homeopathy is very important, as we all have been talking about, how the practitioners with the varied prescribing practices prevalent amongst the homeopaths, how is it important and why is it important? So as you all know, a case report is a detailed narrative that describes for medical, scientific, or educational purpose a medical problem experienced by one or several patients. And they offer a structure for case-based learning in healthcare education and may facilitate the comparison of healthcare education and delivery across culture. While case reports have long been an important source of new ideas and information in medicine, it appears that case reports have begun to play a role in the discovery of what works and for whom, especially in today's concept of personalized medicine. As you all might be knowing, even though homeopathy was a system established based on individualization of the patient, the constitution of the patient, but the modern medicine is fast catching up with us with terminologies like personalized medicine and precision medicine. So we have to be very careful in our claim of individualization and constitution, because the modern medicine are coming with a lot of evidence which says why they are the precision or the personalized medical care. So the need for case reports becomes even more important in that context. Well-written and transparent case reports reveal the few important things. They present the clinical observations customarily collected in our healthcare delivery settings. That means each and every one of us, any government practitioner or practitioner in the private sector, whatever their clinical observations, that is what goes into the case report. Identification of potential benefit, harms, and information on the use of resources, recognition of new diseases, unusual forms of common diseases, presentation of rare diseases. They generate hypotheses for future clinical studies, prove useful in the evaluation of global convergence of systems-oriented approaches, and guide the individualization and personalization of treatment in clinical practices. And hence, single case reports are a gold mine of information. New medical conditions and emergent diseases often begin with a single case. Case reports can also help in understanding the mechanisms of disease and in identifying the adverse drug reactions. When intelligently filterable, aggregatable, and discoverable, a large and comprehensive corpus of peer-reviewed cases is a formidable scientific resource. So that is where all the point lies. We should not, we should be having the reports or the evidence in a form that we are able to showcase to the stakeholders or to the policy makers that how important our system of treatment is in curing a particular condition. So that is where it all boils down to. So evidence-based medicine and evidence-based homeopathy are all we all have been hearing for a long, long time. And evidence-based medicine is a conscientious, explicit, judicious, and reasonable use of modern best evidence in making decisions about the care of individual patients. And it integrates clinical experience and patient values with the best available research information. The practice of evidence-based medicine is a process of lifelong, self-directed, problem-based learning in which caring for one's own patients creates a need for clinically important information about diagnosis, prognosis, therapy, and other clinical and healthcare issues. These are very important because being the neighborhood homeopathic doctor, that one particular patient, including his extended family, will be coming to you over the years for generations. I mean, they will be carrying many of the generations to you. So you should be able to cater to the best of your knowledge and to the best of the medical practice. So evidence-based homeopathy is based on extensive verification of homeopathic symptoms, which are the framework on which the concept of the patient relief and cure depends for a homeopathic physician. The concept of similarity, the evidence-based homeopathy can only be built on the framework of homeopathic concept of similarity. For documenting the varied experiences of homeopathic physicians, development of a repository of treated cases is imperative. So since homeopathy is like, has got uniqueness even from the practitioner point of view, everybody has got a view of their own, how a medicine acts, even though stalwarts like Dr. Lex and others are trying to bring in a mathematical model of predictability, but still, I really still believe that there will be a lot of heterogeneity into the practice, into homeopathic practice that will happen globally. There is such verifications, whatever verification that we are trying to do are not simple, since physicians in the system, as I said, they use varying methodologies and the strategies according to their training, expertise, and clinical experience. And it will be a tedious process to bring in uniformity to the interpretation of symptoms due to the multitude of these inter-rater variability factors. And that is inherent and that is unique to homeopathic principles. So promoting transparent and accurate reporting of clinical cases. For that, we have certain international guidelines to which the practitioners have to adhere to. So as I said, India has over 2.8 lakh registered practitioners practicing in the government, private, clinical, or research settings. And a wealth of information is lost due to the absence of a clinical case repository or registry in homeopathy, which can be developed as a national or global database of clinical cases in homeopathy. We should actually, our databases or the homeopathic databases should actually be from the Indian context. It should be interoperable with the national digital health platform that the government of India is building. Then only we'll be in focus. And it is not by existing as entities, different entities won't serve any purpose for us to deliver further in public health. So whatever databases that are being developed should be interoperable with the national guidelines or the national platforms. Due to the unique tenets of homeopathy based on individualization and the lack of standardized and well-structured case recording format, there is a paucity of documented clinical cases. We all know. In homeopathy, individual cases contribute to the evidence pyramid by giving an insight into the prescription patterns of the Indian homeopathic doctors. There is a need to promote this transparent and accurate reporting of clinical case reports in homeopathy, because when we go through the prescriptions of homeopathic doctors, the only things that you see are a couple of symptoms and the prescription. What has happened? But the patient will be sticking on to that particular doctor because maybe his cancer was cured, maybe his some other terminal illness was cured, and there is no proof of what happened in between the baseline visit and during the follow-ups. So that is the basic lacune which the homeopathic clinical case repository is trying to rectify or trying to contribute to. In correcting that lacune. The homeopathic knowledge base is supported by data from healthy subjects. We all know about homeopathic provings that is clinically verified and validated. And clinical cases and case series are important components of the validation process. A solid foundation in the form of high-quality case reports is therefore an essential cornerstone for the further validation of homeopathic knowledge. There is a relatively high level of complexity and individualization, as I have been repeatedly saying, which needs to be meticulously noted down in the most scientific manner. So we should be following the homeopaths and the practitioners should be following the reporting guidelines. There are standardized case reporting frameworks. There are key elements, checklist items, which must be definitely included while reporting a case, which increases the completeness and the transparency in health research and in the data collection. So we all know the CARE guidelines that was published long back. So we have got a CARE checklist, which is a 13-item checklist. and most of the practitioners, I mean, at least the practitioners in the research scenario, only they know about this checklist actually. So that is where CCRH is trying to chip in and try to promote these recording templates, so that even your neighborhood homeopathic doctor would follow these guidelines while taking his case, and it adds to the evidence pyramid of the clinical case. So here we have got a 13 item checklist with the title, keywords, abstract, introduction, and all those things, but that is for publication purpose. But basically we would need the patient information, the clinical findings, the timeline from the first date of visit till the follow-ups, majorly the follow-ups, and the end of the, I mean, if it's coming on for even other conditions, but if for that particular condition should be recorded in its completeness and in its propriety. Then the diagnostic assessments that have been used, the therapeutic interventions that the doctor has used, and why a remedy was changed. And there has to be a basis of prescription at every point. You cannot just say that I felt belladonna came, so I gave. So that is not science. So there has to be a certain level of evidence and certain level of logic to what a practitioner does. Then we need definite follow-ups and outcomes. And these are the major things of the checklist. This is majorly for publication purpose, but these are the major things that we have to, as a practitioner, we have to have in our case-taking pro forma mandatorily, so that we have strong evidence of how we treated a case and how the patient was cured or improved. Then these days, before going for any publications, informed consent of the patient is very important. Then as an offshoot to the care guidelines, Dr. Robert Van Hasselen's team has developed the home case guidelines, where along with the checklist items of the care guidelines, few items were added as supplementary items to the care items 6, 9, and 10. So here will be where the perspective is important to the homeopathic practitioner. We are taking a detailed clinical history of the patient, which are the homeopathic symptoms, which are very important for decision making. Then the therapeutic intervention, the type of homeopathy, individualized, single, multiple, what is the type of prescription that we are having. Then any objective evidence, which will include, all diagnostic tools that might have been used, for example, an X-ray or a USG. Then occurrence of homeopathic aggravation and a possible causal attribution, which is documented in the, which in the SCARE guidelines, it was a modified Naranjo criteria, and now it is a monarch. So now coming to the, so this is in brief the background of our development. Coming to the homeopathic clinical case repository, in brief we call it the HCCR. So just a quick overview of the platform.
I think we should keep track of time. There's very little time left.
Right.
Suhana, isko hum log usme dekh lenge. There is nothing about it. You just make the point what you want to make. Okay?
Right, sir.
So no worries about this clipping. This is otherwise also available on website, I think so. It's available, no?
Right, sir. Okay. I'm just going ahead.
Just complete it.
Yeah. So the clinical database cum research platform is a resource aimed at providing the clinicians, researchers, medical students, patients, regulators, and the policymakers a starting place to explore content and identify the treatment trends, morbidity patterns, improvements in quality of life, and assessing cure rates of common and rare clinical conditions using the homeopathic intervention. So the key features of the platform is that it's a user platform designed in adherence with the International Home Case Reporting Guideline, which is an offshoot of the CARE guideline. And we have user dashboards powered with data analytics. And we have some loyalty programs for the practitioners, because for the practitioners to come to the platform and take time to upload their case, there should be something we have to offer to the practitioner. So there is a loyalty program that we have kept for the practitioners. Then we have a peer-reviewed process of case submission, the levels of evidence identified with a unique quality-based grading system. I hope the slides are visible.
Yes.
Thank you. The best cases to be accepted as case report the best cases that are selected based on the levels of evidence, we'll give them an opportunity to be published in the Indian Journal for Research in Homeopathy, which is a Scopus Index journal. Then we have taken care of the data security, compliance, and interoperability aspects by making it compliant to the HIPAA, HITRUST, and the FHIR compliance. So FHIR is still under process. Then we have a cloud-based infrastructure, the Azure platform, which hosts the portal. Then it's easy to get started, easy to use with anytime, anywhere web mobile access, a pre-structured case recording format. We have in this a case recording template in accordance with standard reporting guidelines for ease of case entry. We have got user-driven insights where decision workflows and intuitive dashboards provide meaningful, tailored insights with data being analyzed for specific outcome parameters, and a structured data representation, use of well thought out structured proforma for data capture with specific outcome parameters like investigations, outcome scales, and outcome questionnaires are there in the portal. Single source of truth. Users can access the evidence anytime, and further analysis and correlation of data can be done for establishing the efficacy of homeopathic interventions. We also do a scenario analysis. What if scenario building tools powered by predictive models enable the physicians to analyze the clinical outcomes of a particular treatment plan for specific clinical conditions? So with the corpus of the data that comes in, the physician themselves, the practitioners themselves can have, there can be forums, there are forums that can be formed within the portal whereby they can discuss the best cases and the best prescriptions for a particular ICD condition. Then interactive visualizations and reporting, customizable dashboards and reports enable flexible data exploration in a highly configurable orientation with options to extend and analyze the data using statistical tools. This is just a quick overview. We have a researcher case submission, then we have a clinical case review process, then we have a quality assessment whereby a quality of evidence grades have been given to each and every field of the case recording template, whereby the evidence are graded from low to high quality evidence. Then there is a final review and publication in the portal. So in between there's a case submission flow whereby the review comments will be communicated to the user and then back to the reviewer and reviewer to the supervisor who would finally approve the case into the portal. So here we are trying to bring in some level of quality to the cases that come into the portal. So this is just a quick overview of how the case recording template would look inside the portal. So we have all components of the case home case guidelines, which we discussed earlier. So ICD, we'll be pulling in the ICD codes for the primary diagnosis that the physician will be entering here. And then you can pull in the ICD codes for the multiple secondary diagnoses also. Initially, before coming into the portal, we verify the credentials of the practitioner as to whether he is a registered medical practitioner. Then he is given access.
Johanna, can you please conclude?
Yes, Dr. Lex, I'm done. So we have got the follow-up practitioners whereby we take a detailed, there are detailed fields for taking up the follow-up session. The follow-up, the investigations, the add-on therapies, etc. So finally coming to my last slide, so I should thank Dr. Anil Khurana, who is the Director General of CCRH, and it was his brainchild to develop this portal. Then we had a supporting team led by Dr. O.P. Verma, who is the IT manager of CCRH. Then we had our technical consultant, Mr. Shivan Shashidharan, who had guided us throughout the project. Then we have our other doctors, Dr. Anupriya and Dr. Bharti, who are research officers in CCRH, who have been throughout with us in the software development part, the planning, the user acceptance testings and all. So I I give a big thanks to my whole team and CCRH and Dr. Anil Khurana for giving me the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Suhana. We have to move to another hall in a few minutes. So I want to make a very brief summary. What we have seen is that we already have big data. The problem is that we also have a large variety of big data, of insights, and some of the many insights are a bit paradigmatic. And quality is a big issue in our data. And what I sense, there is also a big gap between the possibilities of big data and the analysis already done and that have to be done yet, and the daily field of homeopathic practice. And I sense a bit of despair in the repertory manufacturers how to do all this. And I think this could be the subject of our discussion in a few minutes. So I thank you all for your participation, and we will see you in a few minutes in Hall 4. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Lex. Thank you, Dr. Manchanda. Wonderful talks by all our speakers and very well moderated by Dr. Meeta and Dr. Anjali. And again, a huge thank you to all our chairpersons. Before moving on to the next session, I would again like to grab the opportunity and thank all of you present over here. And now, since we are a one big happy family, let's hear it for all of us out here. I would request you to please unmute your lines, switch on the camera, and let's hear it for all of us who have presented today. Let's have a huge round of applause for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll be starting with the next session in 7 minutes from now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just all the speakers of this session has to shift now to the hall number 4
Yes.
for the panel discussion. Okay, and
Yes.
all of you have link of that. Now,
Yes.
in this hall, a separate session will start in next 7 minutes, and
Yes.
after 7 minutes, we'll be meeting in another hall.
Yes, sir.
Hello,
Thank you.
Dr. Pinakin. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. I would request the speakers of the previous session to please move to the next hall. And the links have been provided to all of you. Thank you.